Handicappers Report. I'm Seth Merrill, live in the studio. Joining us live from this week, the Big Easy and his new gig. We'll check in about that with our colleague Brian Edo. Brian, good morning.
Hey, Seth, good to hear from you. Good morning. Hello back home.
Yeah, it's again, we knew you were headed down to Fairgrounds for the winter stint the past couple of weeks, but didn't want to mention anything until you put it out there. But it's hard to miss the first couple of days doing the paddock commentary. And I guess you'll be a regular there until Joe Chris gets down from his church. And I said to you before we went on the air, nice first couple of days. If folks were following your selections, either on the simulcast show or you can pick Brian's selections at the Fairgrounds website, 11 for 19 in the first couple of days. You waited too long to move there.
Yeah, it's like I know what I'm doing, right, Seth? Yeah, you and I were talking off the air. It's great to get off to a good start. 11 for 19. There's been some formal races and haven't been on the turf yet, which has been unfortunate. I don't know if we're going to be on today either. It rained overnight, but yeah, it's been a really good start. It's been a lot of fun so far. As you mentioned, Joe shutting it down at Churchill Downs. We're going to talk about that in a second. That 2-year-old card that they have today, and so yeah, I'll be on for about another week, and I will be on every Friday by myself, and I'll be helping Joe throughout the meet, on a daily basis as well. So it was something I was really looking forward to, and it's played out so far. It's been a lot of fun so far. Yeah,
it's been fun to watch, and certainly we'll be checking you out through the Fairgrounds.
I wanted to say thanks to everybody back home and friends, and certainly everybody at OTB as well. They've been so supportive and a lot of kind words. So you and everybody back at Control Central there as well. So I appreciate that. It definitely, it was tough to get going down here and in a spot where I didn't know a lot of people, especially with Joe not being here. So everybody was really has been great. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, off to, as I say, a blazing start. So congratulations there. Got a lot of races today, but just before we go on, I do want to mention yesterday, Bodie Express upsets Code of Honor, who Code of Honor just got going a little late, and by Bodie Express had the jump, so Bodie Express takes the Clark. Arklow, a horse I've liked throughout his career, gets it done in the Hollywood Turf Cup in New York, Mrs. Danvers and Field Glorious. But the notable one, most likely, Bodie Express getting it done, picks up a Grade 1 win in the Clark yesterday.
You just said that out loud, Seth. It was tough probably to chuckle without saying it that way. But yeah, and he did it the hard way, and he did it in a good fashion. Bodie Express, I mean, that's a serious race on his resume, holding off our track winner, Code of Honor. So kudos to Arklow, 6 years old now, or they added blinkers, 3 or 4 starts ago. And you watch that ride that Joel gave him yesterday, and just very confident. He was 2 to 5 the entire way around there in that Hollywood Turf Cup. So Arklow, it's pretty cool that Brad Cox, again, I don't know if he's 5, 6, or 7, but they added after 30 some odd starts. Arklow has just taken off. So kudos to those guys and the connections and the horses. He's always been a cool horse. He's just somehow really turned the corner at this advanced age. So good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump in. I'll have Aqueduct in a few minutes, but we're going to kick off with Churchill. And as you alluded to earlier, the Stars of Tomorrow, I think it's Stars of Tomorrow 2 card. A couple of nice 2-year-old stakes races as well with the Kentucky Jockey Club and the Goldenrod. Racing across America a little bit later, we'll have Terry Fee join us. He has an entrant with West Point Thoroughbreds in both of those 2-year-old stakes, and also Decorated Invader out in the Hollywood Derby. My boy Jack in the Seabiscuit as well. So we'll talk some stakes across the country with Terry in a little bit, including the 2-year-old stakes at Churchill. But always a fun day every year at Churchill, because it's that time of year. We're about a month away from turning the page, and these become 3-year-olds. And so we have some potential horses that could be stepping along the Triple Crown trail, either on the boys' side or headed towards the Kentucky Oaks on the girls' side. 12 races this afternoon. Why don't we jump right in? Maiden Special 2-year-old fillies in the opener at Churchill on Saturday afternoon. They will go the 1-turn mile. How did you see race number 1?
Yeah, and really quickly, too, you said a lot of these potential Stars of Tomorrow, they've got that Kentucky Future book wager, this Derby Future wager this weekend. A lot of these horses that are in today are in that wager. So that in mind too. You can get, you know, I always fun to bet a horse now, watch him progress. I've got this 10 over the 8-5 again. The one sheet selections we're keeping upset. I had a great Keeneland, an ROI over $2. I am eagerly awaiting our friends at Gulfstream Park opening because this Churchill Downs has been very, very tough. Very tough. 10 over the 8-5 in the opener, early pick 5. Saranya for Cox seems to be progressing and got to the dirt last time. Really looked good. And I think Saranya from a tactical outside position is going to be tough to beat. Underneath, Goldie's Delight for Rusty Arnold. Here's a little bit of a price underneath. I didn't run very well at all on debut. Took no money, no surprise there. Rusty's not a first out barn, but now we stretch out Super Saver on top. So certainly bred for this. Maybe adds a big number underneath in your exacta. Tabor Hall, a more likely exacta partner for Kenny McPee. Kenny's got just courses like all over the place today on this card. Basically, he's in every single race, and he's got some very live runners. Tabor Hall's going to get, he ran the 1-turn mile last time and really woke up doing so, and I would think he progresses a little bit as well. But I think this is Brad Cox here in the opener, 10 over the 8-5, early pick 5 time.
Let's move on to race number 2. Again, as all day, 2-year-olds. These are 2-year-old fillies in race 2. Maiden special weight runners going 8.5 furlongs.
1-7 over the 10-12. I mentioned Kenny McPeak early pick 4 time here as well. And Gink Go down inside, stretching out to 2 turns. We know Kenny's been great to us over the year, you and I, certainly on our shows. And he's just not a guy that wins first out. But you look at Gink Go, I thought it was fine third on debut in a very fast race for the level. The winner was very good that day. Now we stretch out. We get 2 turns. We all the way inside to save all the ground. I would think you'd see a lot of improvement from Gink Go. Sylvia Q on the outside for Phil Bauer, dueled and tired, just nearing the line on debut at Churchill at a mile distance, 2 turns on the turf, but certainly bred violence. I know you like those violence runners. By violence, I have an unbridled song there. Sylvia Q, is going to handle the main track well, and I like the speed she brings. Let's go outside to Peace Broker. You know, you could make a case that this is the one to beat from this outside draw. Second start last time for Brett Calhoun, who won the other day here at Fairgrounds. Really improved. Peace Broker is going to be no surprise from up close, and then all the way outside, Jailhouse Code for Paul McGee. And no surprise to see this one improve. First going 2 turns last time. Now we do cut back here, that's fine, but Paul's a very, very patient guy. Excuse me, 2 turns, we stay at 2 turns. Paul is a very patient guy, never wins first out. You typically see his horses going forward. MO, and now in the 4th start, chased some good ones in the first few starts. I think is poised for a real big run here. So let's call it 1-7, 10, 12 in race 2, kicking off the early pick 4.
Very good. And you mentioned that Kentucky future wager. I'll reiterate because I pulled up while you were talking the current odds. Close at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And the bettors are no dummies. I mean, to jump into this future pool 1 in November, currently all others at 3-2. But there are a couple single entrants in single digits, and they're no surprise either. Essential Quality is at 7-1. But the current favorite, as far as single entrants, Life is Good. And I didn't ask you at the top of the show, did you see him last week in here doing the show when Life is Good had his career debut for Baffert out in Southern California? And Bob Baffert may have another good-looking 3-year-old in about a month when the calendar page turns.
Yeah, his 23rd horse of a lifetime in the last 4 years. So, yeah, I did, and he was all Twitter and the social media of the world was all a buzz, and rightfully so. But yeah, you're right. It was just an awesome, stunning debut last weekend. And
we should mention there is also kind of a fun sire wager as well. So you can bet on, horses potentially in the gate with the sire wager.
Admittedly, I'm not a big guy in a pool like this. Maybe Vegas when you can get long odds on big horse on crazy horses. But Seth, they added. I don't know if you saw this. I'm not saying they added. I'll know if you saw this or not. Number 20 is, I don't remember seeing that before. All fillies is now is a thing too. Is that something I just missed in the past?
I thought it in maybe the past couple of years, but I don't swear to that. But it is an option. Yeah.
Okay.
And let me check and see what
so
they are. All fillies. So, but it has become tougher for fillies. I will say that, because at some point they have to run against the boys prior, unless you didn't get a full starting gate on Derby Day. But you know, that is not likely to happen within a crazy year like this. But it is a fun option if you're thinking in that direction. Third race, Churchill. These are, as again, all day long, 2-year-olds. They're optional claimers, non-winners of one other than mile and a 16th in race 3.
8-6 over the 4 for me. Go back and watch you at Churchill going 2 turns for Kenny McPeak. As I mentioned, not a guy that wins first out. This was just awesome. And Kenny threw him to the wolves in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and he no-showed, which I don't think was any surprise at all. But, you know, he's back with his friends here. If he didn't get thrown for a loop in that spot, and that can happen. Sometimes, you know, you get your head ripped off. They don't come back like they left. But I think that debut from Camp Hope was really, really exciting. And he's going to be a decent price here, because my second choice, Scarred, for Steve Asmussen. I don't know if you saw yesterday, but the barn, now Scott Blasi's down here. They debuted a horse named Swiftshire down here at Fairgrounds yesterday. It was just absolutely awesome. So take note of that as a 2-year-old, and Uncle Mo that's certainly bred to stretch out. That's part of your all bet in all 3-year-olds in the Derby bet. So boy, go watch it. He was really good. Scarred was good too on debut at Churchill, going 7 furlongs. He's another one. He's into mischief, Seth. I know you like him. How can you not like him? They're just running, as my buddy Jerome would say back in the day, they're running fools. He's into mischiefs, and they just fire and fire, and he just keeps getting better as a stallion. Scarred was really good and really fast on debut. No reason he can't stretch out with the Fleet Alex on the bottom of his pedigree. And then Hidden Stash for Vicky Oliver. I thought it was pretty good last time, stretching out the 2 turns, breaking his maiden, and no reason to think that he doesn't keep progressing for a very patient barn. 8-6 over the 4 for me, Seth, in a tough race 3, in a good race 3.
Race number 4 at Churchill on Saturday afternoon. Still more 2-year-olds. These are maidens going a mile and a 16th.
7, 8, 3, 2 for me. Brad Cox, first time Brad Cox for Sheffy. And no disrespect to Don Chatlos, who does a good job for the OXO horses, but Brad Cox, as we know, is as good as there is, and he's trying for 5 straight down here at Fairgrounds. He's probably going to win his first ever Eclipse Award this year, or he's definitely a finalist. I know that. And Sheffy, I think, you know, after a middling debut where it looks like he seemed to figure it out late, I would think makes a big move forward. First time in the Cox barn. Holy Redeemer is favored on the morning line for Stan Huff. No surprise there. Big second start, has been second in both starts. Another forward move would make him really tough. And quite frankly, if nobody else moves forward here, he's going to be tough anyway. Holy Redeemer. The wild card, well, let's talk about Burrow first. We'll call him, I don't know if we want to call him the other Brad Cox, because he ran pretty well on debut at Keeneland at this 2-turn trip. He was a distant second behind a nice looking winner. He was well clear of third. Talamo is here. Giroux is on Sheffy, if that's a thing for you. Obviously, Giroux is a first call rider for the barn. So, you know, I don't always like to get involved in stuff but it's kind of noteworthy to me in a spot like this. Burrow certainly is a major player. So here's the wild card. The wild card's number 2, Dolder Grant, for Cassie. Did the synthetic thing, the turf thing up at Woodbine. I thought he was a pretty good third in the summer, Seth, as a maiden. Gretzky the Great's a nice turfer, 2-year-old turfer. I thought he ran very, very well in that race to be third as a maiden off a slow third on debut. Candy right on top. Bottom, they paid $800,000 for this runner, and there's no reason he can't handle the main track. He's drawn well down inside too. 7, 8, 3, 2 in race 4.
Moving on to race number 5 on Saturday afternoon, Churchill. Maiden specials going 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, this is arguably the deepest, toughest race of the day. At least it was for me. It's a middle pick five as well. I love how they do that at Churchill. We want to bet it. Let us bet it. At this 9-7-2-4-3. It's a total stab in the dark with KAPLAN for Juan Ortiz, who's at a very, very good meet at Churchill. There are a slew of works here. Street Boss is a pretty solid debut sire. Bullets in the holster. I look at that 11-1 Keeneland gate drill, and that was really sharp, really, really sharp. And the kind of dart landed on KAPLAN. I mentioned the middle pick five here. You get to see the toe board, which I think is very, very beneficial in a spot like this. You get to see who's being bet, who's bet. And if KAPLAN's taking a little money for a barn that isn't necessarily known as a debut barn, 16%, listen, is good enough, but this isn't, only 19 starters. And so I think if KAPLAN's taking money, it moves him up even more. Southern Grace for Cox. I think it's interesting. De La Cruz, who's this kind of Indiana Grand guy, gets on here. They're 27% together. Brad's 15. Listen, Brad is great. If you're going to try to beat Brad Cox, this is one of the few spots on debut where you maybe can have a little confidence. I say only. He's 15% on debut. Basically everything else that he is 25, 26, 27%. So 15% on debut. I'm going to put this one second, but she'd be no surprise. Inside for Sister Annie, the other Cox, 150 tag on debut, ran a distant third. The problem with that good for numbers race, Seth, is that was about odds on here the other day and was just not good here at Fairgrounds. So I'm a little leery of the quality of that race. It was a $150,000 maiden claiming race. And I'm just, like I said, the runner-up at a very short price was bad here at Fairgrounds. The 4, Mucho Macho Mama for Dally Stewart's in the mix. The 3, A Merry Prankster, was decent enough in an Indiana Grand turf race on debut. There's a lot going on here, Seth. 9-7-2-4-3, middle pick 5 time at Churchill Downs.
Race number 6 this afternoon. Maiden specials once again. They're going to go 9 furlongs in the 6th.
This is the play of the day, which seems to always run second or third. It's been very, very frustrating if you can't tell in my voice. A middle pick 4 here at Churchill Downs. Private, I thought was a very good third on debut for Brendan Walsh, like a Dolphin homebred. This is a barn that rarely cranks him early. Now, this horse was third to Scarred, and I mentioned Scarred earlier on the card. So make sure you pay attention to what Scarred does. It might flatter or not the form of this debut in Private Network. Private Network looks about 6-5 in here to me, Seth. This 7-2 morning line is comical. None of these other experienced runners, and actually the entire field has, it's odd, there's no first-time starters in here. None of them did a lot of running, have done a lot of running so far. And I think Private Network with this pedigree by Bernardini out of Street Cry Mare, my goodness, it screams 9 furlongs on the main track. Private Network, to me, moves forward in a good way. And quite frankly, if Private Network runs back to that debut, he's still probably going to win. So you're going to look up, when you look up, folks, and you see him at 7, 8-5 on the top, don't go crazy, because quite honestly, he should be about 2-1 on the morning line. He's going to be tough in here. I put a little price underneath. Danny Pites is a guy that never, ever, ever wins first time out. And Saquil for Shadwell was an okay 4th. Progresses next time in a quick race, moves up to 5th. Now he gets the 2 turns. Saquil might blow up your exacta a little bit underneath. Maybe a more likely exacta finisher is the entry for McPeak. Royal Tryst, I thought, was a very good closing 6 on debut. He's going to like the added turn Medaglia d'Oro out of a Pulpit Mare. There's 9 furlongs too. But I love Private Network in here, Seth. 8-9-1, a nice prospect for Godolphin as we split this Churchill Downs card.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll complete our look at Churchill. A little bit later on, Aqueduct. Please stay tuned. Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
In a recent study of some of the top online wager sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While the rewards program simply offer you redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are in actual cash. Plus, OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, OTB player rewards today and get cash back. Visit capitalotbbet.com and sign up today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrill in the studio, and as noted before, our colleague Brian Addo spending the winter season down at the fairgrounds, so down in the this morning, but still looking at some Churchill down. We've gone through the first six. Brian's going to pick up race number 7. Optional claim or non-winners of one other than 6 the trip.
Play this 4-7 over the 1, and I'm not good. I know how Charlie's Penny's going to run on conventional dirt, but I thought she ran very well in 2 starts on the synthetic. Awesome on debut at Arlington. Sent her up the Woodbine, and she disgraced herself. It went 4th in the Glorious Song, and what was a very, very that kind of group. She's by race day out of Warriors Reward. No reason she can't take to the main track. And Seth, I think this is a race that's there for the taking, and I think if Charlie's Penny handles the main track, I have no reason to think she won't. She's got a huge chance in here. Trained to Artemis outside for WW. Wesley Ward got to the dirt last time, albeit in the slop. It was really, really impressive, drawing off on the lead. And I think from this outside attack post to be in, I'm the one. And I talked about 150 maiden race last time, and I talked about how the runner-up was not good here at Fairgrounds. So I'm against this horse, a big figure in that race, but drawn inside. I think that was a little dressed up that day in that figure. I'm going to play against good with numbers at a very, very underlaid price. 4-7 over the 1. Seth, this kicks off that single 6 jackpot that Churchill runs. I know you and we talk about Gulfstream a lot. I don't know if you pay attention to the Churchill. It is the best at because they own 10% for the jackpot. 90% is paid out to the winners. They're Seth, where like the highest winner is $80 or something like that. It'll pay $1,400. It's amazing. I know only 2 days left in the meet. They hit the darn thing the other day, so the carryover pool only 44,000 going into it. But I texted with a friend the other day, and I said, I don't know why we don't just play this every single day, because I really a great bet for guys on budgets. So you and I play that Gulfstream for like that 38.20 ticket. Well, you get so much bang for your buck in this one at Churchill because they pay 90% of it back to the bettor. So check it out. It's phenomenal.
I don't know, because you were doing work down at Fairgrounds yesterday. I don't know whether you were working or where they put it out on social media. They might have, but I was watching, obviously doing the handicap show in the afternoon yesterday. I was watching Joe and Ed, Joe Christopher and Ed DeRosa in the paddock in Churchill, and they mentioned 2 times during it got hit on Thanksgiving for $380,000 with a $2 ticket. A $2 ticket.
Yeah, Joe and I talk quite a bit, obviously, because I'm, running his show down here, and he was saying that to me, and I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, congrats for the gentleman or lady that hit that, but you're kind of like, oh, it could have been just big bonanza at the end of the meet. But yeah, boy, man alive.
Yikes.
That is
Incredible. 8th race today at Churchill. Optional claimer numbers are 1. It's a 1-turn mile.
4 over the 5.6 for me. And in minute waltz was really good on debut at Churchill for Phil Bauer. Another one of these Nyquists that are just runners. And minute waltz certainly was an outside post, settled early, home late. I think it's noteworthy that she was 4-1 for, this is a very good barn, but you don't think of, Phil Bauer in an 11-horse 2-year-old race at Churchill and taking all this kind of tote money. And she certainly ran to it. Now stretches out a couple furlongs, sticks at 1 turn. She's an exciting prospect to me, Seth. Minute waltz on top. Olivia of the Desert, Kenny McPeak underneath. She's running a couple stakes. She's acquitted herself nicely. No reason to think she doesn't fight her here. Tis Splendid News. WW Wesley Ward will try to wire this horse. Won at that rear tough 1-2 turn mile trip at Keeneland last time. She wouldn't be, she's going to probably clear this field and try to wire them. I think this is a much, much tougher assignment today. 4 over the 5.6 late pick 5 time at Churchill Downs.
And that means race 9 kicks off a late pick 4, and it also kicks off the stakes action. As I said earlier on the Stars of Tomorrow Day, the 2-year-olds that come out of these stakes are certainly 3-year-olds just in about a month and a week or so. And so we'll see how it plays out this year in the Goldenrod and the Kentucky Jockey Club. But in the Goldenrod, we have the 2-year-old fillies going the 8.5 furlongs.
Yeah, it's tough to get by Simply Ravishing here. Unfortunate. She basically lost all chance at the start in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies when she kind of really broke slow. She gave up tactical position, and then V-Quist and a horse that I like, Day Out of the Office, they ran 2-1 the entire way, and that was that. I thought she ran pretty valiantly to be 4th with a tough trip and a no. I don't want to say no chance, but she was really compromised by that start, and she absolutely lays over this field. A New York bred, which is pretty cool. She was awesome winning the Grade 1 Alcibiades. She lost for the first time in the juvenile fillies, but provided that she came back out of that well, and certainly Kenny would not run her if she didn't. She's the most likely winner of the day. Underneath, Princess Theorem will be a decent price to Brendan Walsh, and this one got to the dirt last time and improved off a decent enough 3rd on debut on the turf at Churchill. Maybe she can add some value to your exacta underneath, because if she progresses, and that was just her 2nd lifetime start, facing winners today, but she moves forward to 77 by first time dirt going 2 turns as well. There's nothing to scoff at for that. John Velasquez comes in for the ride. Clairiere is she's interesting because she's a Stone Street homebred, and she's by Curlin out of the cavorting, who Kieran trained for a couple great stakes wins, a couple of them at Saratoga, I believe. Yeah. Maybe 3 or 4 of them. I think she loves Saratoga. Now that I think of it, I'm off the top of my Adirondack, maybe the Prioress, and I don't think she won the test, but she was in it maybe. But she was not a 2-turn horse. So he's stretching the rubber band a little thin on Clairiere. Obviously, Curlin could run all day, nosed out, necked out in the Belmont, but Breeders' Cup Classic winner. But Clairiere on the bottom side is not 2 turns. So I'm interested to see how she runs. I'm kind of against her, though. This is, to me, all Simply Ravishing 8 over the 9.6.
Yeah, and I pulled it up because when she ran the first time, I had talked about her Saratoga cavorting, the daughter of Gordon Clairiere, who I thought looked really good in debut. And just going through her Saratoga record, 2nd start of her career, won the Adirondack up at Saratoga. Subsequently, in the 3-year-old season, she did win the test, went on to win the Prioress later in that Saratoga season, and she wound up her career winning the personal ensign at Saratoga. That's a pretty good record at Saratoga.
Okay, so she won at 9. So all right, that's good. So she won at 9, which I think was definitely outside her comfort zone. So all right, for Kieran in Stone Street back in the day.
Yeah. 10th race at Churchill this afternoon. Claimer non-winners are 1 other than 7 furlongs the distance.
Yeah, I'm just kind of I made these picks quite few days ago. And this late pick 5 is much more condensed than the earlier races, at least to me. 10 over the 2-6. Mandaloon was very good on debut for Brad Cox and Juddmonte. I don't know if this horse is in the future or not as part of the main pool. I would think he is. He was 6-5 even money on debut. Ran to it for Cox. Stretches out now a furlong. Another into mischief. Empire Breaker on the bottom. Mandaloon, a very, very exciting prospect. And I think the other thing that helps him out is that I don't know how loaded this race is. Smoking Jay underneath for Carlos Silva, an style synthetic race. That's Tapeta, and that's Polly and Tapeta in that order. And this horse was good on debut and was fine in the stakes style last time by Cairo Prince out of Include. And so there's no reason to think this one doesn't handle the main track. And then number 6, Founder for Chad, was good on debut to get up in time in Saratoga in the mud. And then, you know, didn't handle the class rise in the Breeders' Futurity behind the champion Essential Quality. I don't know about what Founder is, to be quite honest with you. That debut race at Saratoga was a little funky in the mud, and then he just didn't go on in the Breeders' Futurity, and it's kind of back to the drawing board here. We'll see what happens. 10 over the 2-6 for me in race 10.
All right, moving on to our other 2-year-old stake on the afternoon. Always an intriguing 2-year-old stakes race because not only is it late season, 2-year-olds, yada, yada, but you're getting a run over the Churchill Strip. The 11th at Churchill, the Kentucky Jockey Club, a couple $100,000 up for grab in a grade 2 event at 8.5 furlongs.
1-4 over the 6. I liked sitting on Go a little bit in the juvenile as like an exotic horse, and he just didn't fire. He was coming in off a little bit of a layoff off that Iroquois win, and the Essential Quality was just too good. But he's got that behind him. He draws well here. I think if you go back and watch the Iroquois, he was very, very good on Derby Day, and I expect him to run back to that effort today. I think he can, pull the slight surprise. Listen, keep me in mind 6-5 on the morning line. He was 3rd in the juvenile. He's also a maiden. He also has no speed. He's also now got the target on his back, and I'm not sold on this horse being 6, 7, 8-5 in this kind of race when he hasn't even won a maiden race yet. And I know he was 2nd in the Breeders' Futurity, 3rd in the juvenile, and I know Essential Quality's not in here. So I get it all. And maybe at the end of the day, he's just better than this group against him in here. And I'm going to try to beat him. It's the old back wheel angle for me. I'm put him in 2nd. I think he's an A. I think you should use him. I just don't think I'm going to – you should play him to win. Oncoming for Jimmy DeVito. I thought was a pretty decent enough 3rd in the street sense, and he can improve. King Fury's out there. Didn't fire in the juvenile either. I'll play it 1-4 over the 6 in the Kentucky Jockey Club.
All right, and we wrap things up. Scheduled to go off a little before 6:30 this evening at Churchill in the 12th. And by the way, I'll be in here with a bankroll in the studio this afternoon, playing on behalf of 20 patrons, randomly selected, and we'll go a little later today. So this will be on our radar at least. I don't know whether we'll play the race as part of the bankroll, but it has the potential. 12th and final at Churchill, maiden specials, 7 furlongs.
3-11 over the 7-10. Tyler Gaffleone, who's going to win the title there, getting on an Eddie Keneally first-time starter. Good enough for me. It's a tough race. 3-11, 7-10 to shut it down in the darkness and the lights at Churchill Downs.
Very good. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, we will shift our attention to Aqueduct. Please stay tuned.
Come on.
I want sales on my
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live
Simulcast on your home television, live video streaming, and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? Racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances, and live streaming, wagering from all digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past Birdstone. Win the Belmonts. But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with car bearing down on them. It's going to be a three-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you. I just got through 12 at Churchill Downs on that all 2-year-old card. Check it out. A lot of that Stars of Tomorrow kind of card. Now we go over to Aqueduct. 10 at the Big A today on the it's not the big weekend. Typically, this used to be the Cigar Mile, Naira Mile, and Demoiselle. That'll go next weekend. But the opener at 11:50 in the AM. It's a $40,000 maiden claimer 2-year-olds. 6 furlongs on the main track.
5, 7, 9, and 3. Sinus on top for me. Numbers are a little light for this one, and so the 10-1 morning line, I don't know whether that'll hold up necessarily. I think you'll find value here. I just thought this horse maybe had a little bit of potential. There was some breeding. There dampened some win early siblings. Again, hasn't quite lived up to that in the first couple of starts of the career, but did show a little improvement. Start 1 to start 2. And that bullet workout recently, about a week ago, maybe just signals that this horse now is kind of figuring it out. A couple of races under the belt, maybe moves forward for George Weaver, up with 5 Sinus on top. Charlie 5 second spot, claimed away from Steve Asmussen. Goes into the barn of Danny Gargan, who is very good off the claim. This horse was a 6-5 beaten favorite in the debut. Had a little trouble in that race. Maybe benefits from that start, though, and having gotten some education. But certainly, again, it's hard to make the argument you're going to improve too much off the Asmussen barn, but Danny Gargan does do very well off the claim. Risky Woods in the 3rd spot. First couple of starts weren't a whole lot to write home about necessarily, but again, the numbers fired as compared to this group that have run are competitive. And I think this horse, adding the blinkers, moving down into the maiden claiming ranks, might be a little bit of an interesting player in here as well. In the opener at Aqueduct, 5, 7, 9, and 3.
Race 2, we get to the turf. We hope the outer turf. Fillies and mares 3 and up. It's a non-2L. The tag's 36 on the 6 furlongs on the outer.
Should go on the dirt. I have it 15, 16, 8, and 4. And again, if you go to the website, pull up the Handicappers report sheet, the dirt alternatives are there as well. But on turf, 9, 4, 13, and 7. 13's an AE. If that one doesn't get in, pull in the 1. But I'll use number 9, Dream Chasing on top. We'll just look for Christophe Clement to have the speed pop. Boy, he's having a great meet. And we'll look for him to have the speed pop play in here with Dream Chasing just having plenty of early speed. So we'll look for, as I say, Dream Chasing to say, catch me if you can. In the second slot, we're going to go to number 4, Corey Scores. Claimed a couple of back 40 and then went into a stake bred allowance. And I think that's a tough, a kind of a negative move a lot of times. I like it the other way. And now the horse down into the conditional claiming ranks and at a little bit of a lesser rate than was claimed for 2 starts back. So I think the Linda Rice trainee is going to be interesting on the class move this afternoon. afternoon. And in the third spot, we're going to horse on the AE list, and it's 3 deep, so we'll need a little help to get in. But if the Dave Donk Henny Penny does get in, I think you have to pay attention to that one. That one does, though. Ava K's Girl is going to appreciate the return to turf. I'm going to draw a line through the dirt race last time, and getting back to turf, we should get back to a better number for Carlos Martin. So in the second at Aqueduct, I have it 9, 4, 13, and 7. And again, 13 doesn't make it in, pull a 1 into the mix.
Recovery for 3 years, mile and an eighth on the main track, the grade 3, a compact field. Forza Dioro, there's a crumpled Kentucky Derby future wager bet somewhere in my condo of Forza Dioro. Didn't quite pan out, but he looks okay in here.
Yeah, I have it 1, 3, 5, and 2. I put Jared on top for Brad Cox coming in the Oklahoma Derby at the end of September out at Remington. I just think on a best may wind up being the one to beat for Brad Cox, who is going so well. I mean, he doesn't necessarily fire as well in New York as at some of the other venues. Hasn't started that many here at this Aqueduct meet. But again, I'm going to give this one a slight edge. Forza Dioro in the second spot. In the 2-year-old season showed some promise, then flopped a little bit in the Remsen, laid off from that December start last year until October of this year. The comeback was pretty good. Not pretty good. It was a nice improvement with a buyer number that jumped up significantly. So this horse may have signaled with that last one that we will have a successful end of the 3-year-old season, but maybe more importantly, maybe on his way to a nice 4-year-old season for Bill Mott and company. And then attachment rate for Dale Romans. Another one that has shown some promise throughout the career and has had some flashes of talent against some of the better 3-year-olds during the earlier portion of this season. And I think is going to wind up to be a good fit with this bunch coming off decent little allowance win down at Churchill last time in the slop. Jose Ortiz jumps on board as well, and that can't hurt. In the third at Aqueduct, 1, 3, 5, and 2.
Inner turf time in race 4, 2-year-olds, a mile and a 16, maiden special weight.
Should it go dirt, 12, 11, 10, and 6? And I don't really have any reason to think it will go dirt. I think it's directly down in New York. I think given what we had yesterday, we're probably okay. But I have a 4, 5, 2, and 3. I put Spirit on top. You're getting 4 to 1 on the morning line for a Pletcher Firster. They paid $330,000 after the horse worked a quick 10.1 before the sale earlier this year down in Ocala. I just thought there was enough at work here, nature and nurture, a little breeding, decent little price paid, good workout. I'll put Spirit Maker on top in the career debut for Todd Pletcher. No obligation goes out for Graham Motion, third career start. First couple of starts were okay. Number improved nicely, start 1 to start 2 on a move from Laurel to Churchill. Now comes up to New York. Had worked 21.1 before this one was sold at the 2-year-old sale. Dan produced a sibling called Splashy Kisses. That one was 8th career debut and then won the second start. So there was a little bit of win early from the dam. We'll toss that one in at an 8 to 1 morning line. And at 8 to 5 on the morning line, Hardison for Bill Mott. You know, the two numbers fired so far aren't great, but they match up very well with this bunch. And I'm sure that is what's attractive, as well as Bill Mott training. So what's attractive as far as bringing the morning line to that 8 to 5 spot. But I just wasn't convinced that one of these others didn't have a little more upside potential, particularly the Pletcher Firster, who you just don't know what that one's going to fire first out. But I don't think getting up above the 60s is signaling that you have to be a world beater in here. Chad has Kona's Key, the number 3 horse, who, again, tossed in a buyer in the debut that was a little light, went off at 5 to 2 that day, adds blinkers. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see some improvement from that one. For me in the fourth, 4, 5, 2, and 3.
I'm just looking at your top pick and seeing the estate of Paul Pompa, and that's sad because I never met Paul Pompa. Maybe doing your shows and stuff like that. But for everything you read about his passing, and he was relatively young, I think he was only in his 60s, everybody, I know Todd's quote that I read was really poignant, and they said he was as good a guy as you'll ever meet. So that's certainly sad. But on to the 5th, we'll split this card, Empire 6, which pays out tomorrow. I believe it's already
Cigar Day.
And it'll hopefully it gets there. It's already like 350 or so. This one's 1 1/8 on the main track, 3 and up, 12.5's the tag.
I will say the Rainbow at Gulfstream Park West pays today. So folks should keep that in mind if they want to take a look at that. 5th at Aqueduct, 5, 8, 7, and 2. Dynamax Prime on top. Claimed 2 back for 25. Then they went into one of those state bred optional claimers, and that proved to be a little salty. Moves back down into the claiming ranks and about half of the claiming price for Robitrass. So this is one you can kind of go either way. I'm not thrilled that off the dud they half the claiming price from just 2 races back, but it is Robitrass, and it is a horse that, you know, if this horse does rebound to that race 2 back or some of the races just a little bit further down the page, probably has the edge in here, but there is that question mark to be answered. Calculated Risker in the 2nd spot. Another one, 2 races back, ran a pretty good number. Getting a little probably class relief off those optional claimers most recently. Tried this kind of company earlier this year, and much earlier. I'm talking January and February here at Aqueduct, and mixed results. So this one, it's a little hard to gauge, but I think since those 2 tries earlier this year at this level, the horse is a little better going back to late spring and through the summer and early fall. And so I just think looking at that horse and what has happened over the past 5 or 6 starts as compared to this bunch, I think is going to fit with this group. Autostrad in the 3rd spot for Rudy Rodriguez off a decent number against this kind last time. That, again, puts this horse in the mix with this particular group today. 5th at Aqueduct then, 5, 8, 7, and 2.
All right, that splits the card at Aqueduct. The early pick 5 is down. When we come back from the break, Seth will get into the late pick 5. Stay tuned.
Horses racing, people betting. It's been going since before the Roman Empire. And the fastest horse is still the one that wins. Where there's gambling, there's cheating. That hasn't changed either. What has changed are the tools used to combat doping and cheaters. Professional horse racing oppressive anti-doping program, testing labs on par with the Olympics, and standards tougher than human sport. For 85 years, the Association of Racing Commissioners International has fought for safe horses and honest sport. ARCI standards form the basis for the. Today, they call for a new expanded program to protect all horses, young and old. To join with them or learn more, visit arci.com.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the Capital Region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you. We got through the first 5 at Aqueduct before the break, and now we'll get into the late pick 5 at Aqueduct. 2:15 post time in New York with the darkness setting. It's a maiden special weight for 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs on the main track.
2, 8, 5, and 3 for me in the 6th. I'll put Rugged Union on top. Pletcher Trainee was sold earlier this year at Ocala. Worked flat before that. Has a called Day that won its debut. And so I thought, win early with the breeding. They paid a good price. Workout, Todd Pletcher, I like for these kinds. So I'll tilt in the direction of Rugged Union to get it done in the debut. Subsidized Chad Brown, Klarovich to Mischief. This one bred and handled by connections that are in early. Hasn't lived up to it. The debut was nothing really to write home about. Ran third over at Monmouth, but a well-beaten third. But did show some nice improvement in the second start. If this horse kind of continues in that direction, a player in here you would think for potent win early connect. And then Jailbreaker in the third. This one did improve nicely in the second career start, so might be primed if we get another little move forward. Going to be right in the thick of things again today, you would have to think. Return the Ring I have in the 4th spot by Speightster. That one could be a little bit interesting too, with Speightster on top. In the 6th at Aqueduct, 2, 8, 5, and 3.
Late pick 4 time in the 7th. We're back to the turf on the inner, a mile and 16, 2-year-olds to Central Park.
8, 7, 10, and 5. I put Never Surprised on top. Todd Pletcher by Constitution. And so lived up to that in the career debut with a nice win. Not only a nice win, boy, you're a 2-year-old this time of year and you fire an 88 buyer figure. And I always say that the buyers on turf and having talked buyer makers, tougher. And so it's hard to know how much you can hang your hat on those. And really, you get a few starts under the belt, it becomes a little bit easier to judge. But I'm going to have to at least look at that opening buyer and think if that is one to believe, that's very solid for this time of year for a 2-year-old. And so we'll put Never Surprised on top. Also a pretty good looking buyer in the career debut win, Hard Love. Jose Ortiz on board today for Jonathan Thomas off a nice looking debut with the 79 buyer. And then in the 3rd spot, I will go with Royne. Just missed in the career debut. So this one comes into the stakes race as still a maiden. But as I said, Hard Love fired a 79. Never Surprised fired an 88. This one in the near miss debut effort fired a 78 up at Woodbine in an off the turf or on the synthetic. But it is the mad scientist, Michael Dickinson. I find that all interesting for Augustin. I think Royne could be a player in here as well. Central Park, race number 7, 10 and 5.
All right, race. It's a 1X, fillies and mares, 3 and up, 6.5 on the main track.
8, 5, 6, and 1. The number 8 is Center Isle. Goes out for Chad Brown and OXO. And as we talked about before with these OXO, Larry Best doesn't mind spending at the auction. They paid $1.5 million. I don't think this horse is up to that promise so far. Looked good in the debut. I mean, it did get it done in the first career start. Since then, struggled a little bit, but has a couple of 3rd place finishes in stakes races recently. So I think maybe getting back to the more proper non-winners of 1, particularly off the numbers fired in those last 2. Center Isle maybe has this one over a barrel a little bit. Same one in the 2nd spot goes out for Bill. There are some back numbers good. The past couple of races maybe a little bit disappointing, but again, I'll hope for a rebound to what we saw, 4 or 5 starts back. Get to those numbers, this horse can fit very nicely with this group. And Undine for Brad Cox, if I that correct. Last time in the 2nd start for the Brad Cox barn, they might have figured this one out. And again, having gotten that one under the belt, and compared to what we saw a couple starts ago, I think this horse is just kind of primed. Still lightly raced, so I'm primed, and I think there's still some upside potential for the number 6 horse. I put value in the 3rd spot. Always liked for both Jeremiah Englehart and Marshall Graham and 10 Strike Racing. Critical Value is the New York bred 2-year-old filly of the year last year. It just hasn't been quite as potent this year, but could be interesting in amongst this group today. In the 8th at Aqueduct, 8, 5, 6, and 1.
A all stakes late daily double on the outer turf here in the 9th. It's the Aqueduct Turf Sprint Championship, 3 and up, 6 furlongs.
I went 8, 10, 9, 7. I put Squire on top. I mentioned earlier just a great season, hard to ignore. And this one coming in off 3 wins in the last 4 starts. Bona fide sprinter, I always like that. So particularly off the last race over at Belmont, Maxwell Esquire on top. Therapist in the second spot. This is a nice stakes quality turf runner. 9 wins in 21 starts, well over $650,000 in the bank. This one isn't a bona fide turf sprinter, and I say it a lot when I'm handicapping. I think turf sprints are a little bit of a specialty. So in these kind of races, I'm more attracted to the horses that are really proven as stakes quality turf sprinters. Therapist is a stakes quality turfer, but not necessarily a sprinter. So I shied away just a little bit, put that one underneath. And then Archidust in the third spot. The race 2 back certainly attracts my attention. The Belmont Turf Sprint last time was an okay third, but I thought 2 and 3 starts back are races that are more what we're hoping for, just kind of a stalk and pounce, and see if this one can get up late. But again, this one, a bona fide turf sprinter. In the 9th at Aqueduct, 8, 10, 9, and 7.
And the 10th, they'll close it down, the Long Island, fillies and mares 3 and up, 1 mile and 3/8 on the inner. It's a grade 3.
4, 1, 6, and 11. Muda Makina, if I'm coming close there, for Christophe Clement. Good close-up third in the United States debut. I think has this one set up for a good effort this afternoon. Was the beaten favorite that day, but as I say, barely beaten in a nice closing effort. So we'll put that one on top. We'll go to Eliad in the second spot for Chad Brown and Peter Brandt. Nice win last time in Allowance Company after stepping out of a 5th place in the Glens Falls. But again, I thought that last start signaled some, really the last couple, but the last one signaled some good form right now. An English Affair hasn't been seen since trying a stakes race at Kentucky Downs. Nice 3rd place finish, but the win over at Ellis Pryor was pretty good. So we'll look for this one to come out of that Kentucky Downs race and perform well this afternoon at Aqueduct. In the 10th, 4, 1, 6, and 11. All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrill and Brian Addo. And again, I will remind folks to check out the Fairgrounds simulcast signal to see our friend Brian in the paddock. And as I noted at the top of the show, wear your asbestos gloves or your asbestos glasses as you're watching, because he is red hot. Brian, again, congratulations on the great start and the new stint down at the fairgrounds, and keep it rolling.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. I appreciate it. I'll just throw out a note that after Churchill closes, the one sheet will go over to Gulfstream on the championship meet. So looking forward to that as well. As always, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind words you threw at me this week, and everybody back home, OTB and everyone. So good luck to you today as well, and we will talk next Saturday.
All right, and we'll wrap up this edition of the Handicapper Support for Saturday morning, taking a look at Churchill and Aqueduct. Thanks for tuning in. Up next, Racing Across.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.